Assalamu alaikum. Can you guys hear? Can you guys hear? Okay, great. I don't know if there were any questions or comment about what was presented, inshallah ta'ala. What if you really want something and it's not working out? What would you advise? I mean, you have to be more specific. What do you mean if you really want something? In terms of what? In what context are you referring? Why has the 27th night been specified to be Laylatul Qadr? Because there are some narrations, there are some hadith that mention that that the likelihood of it being the 27th night is strong. It's a strong possibility. But what the scholars are saying is that that does not mean every single year Laylatul Qadr falls on the 27th night. But you have many Muslims, the vast majority of the Muslim world today, many masajid you're going to go to on the 27th night, and they're going to swear out that tonight is Laylatul Qadr. As a matter of fact, they advertise for it. Come out and pray on the 27th night, this is Laylatul Qadr. All right, while Sheikh Uthaymeen is saying the vast majority of the scholars are not of that opinion. Even in terms of the madhahib, you have the Hanabila, the Hanbalis, the Shafi'is, as well as the Malikis. Those who follow those madhahib, they don't even hold that opinion that every single year Laylatul Qadr falls on the 27th night. I mean, it's just ignorance. It's an ignorance, and I don't say that in any disrespectful way. I just say that many of us, we practice Islam, based upon culture. It's not based upon knowledge. It's a culture that is handed down generation after generation after generation, and there's a few from amongst us. On the morning of the 21st night, by Allah, I wonder, and I was thinking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, it was. It was definitely clear signs. I have a picture on my phone that a brother sent me the very next morning after the 21st, and it appears that that is exactly when it was, which was Saturday, actually, the 21st night. For those who are following the international signing, that was Saturday. That was Saturday, absolutely. What the difference is in the way people pray, as you stated in your examples, does that mean that one way is wrong? No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that one way is wrong, because the Prophet ﷺ, he did things many different ways. There are many different ways. Even his companions, even amongst his companions, it's not that even he did things many different ways. That's one. And number two, our understanding. Our understanding. Abu Hurairah, one of his very close companions, used to make wudu, and his understanding of washing your arms, he used to make wudu washing from his fingertip all the way up to his shoulder. That's how he used to make wudu, believing that that was the whole arm. Believing that that was the whole arm. And some of the Sahaba opposed him, and they said, no, the washing of the arm is from the hand all the way up to the elbow. But his understanding of washing your arm was that it was from the tip of the hand all the way to the shoulder. All right, are they going to just totally dismiss him because that was his understanding? That was his understanding. I mean, we can only worship Allah based upon the things that we understand. If someone brings a different understanding to the table and you are willing to sit down with them and listen to that, all right, if you are willing to do that, then alhamdulillah. But the people are going to understand these texts differently. We don't have the Prophet ﷺ right here in front of us demonstrating. We don't have him here demonstrating these acts of worship to us. We don't. So all we have to go on is what we read in books, what we hear scholars explain, and that's pretty much it in your understanding of that. And we can all read the same verse from the Quran, or we can all read the same, the same hadith and come out with a different understanding. To come out with a different understanding. So, this is what it is. So it's not that, we should take a position, and when someone differs with us, we take a position of condemnation or dismissal or whatever the case may be. I'm not dismissing somebody's understanding. I have my understanding in the way that I see it. I would be happy to share that with you. I would be happy to share that with you. But, if you decide that this is your understanding and this is the position that you want to take based upon that understanding, I totally respect that. That's totally up to you. That's totally up to you. I'm not going to say, well, because he don't see it my way, he's astray, he's off it, I'm not even giving him salams. I don't even want to pray next to him because he's doing it wrong, right? This is a moment for teaching. And, if the person, as Malcolm X said, may we meet each other on a different understanding, on a different level of understanding. Some people, we differ in terms of our understanding, our beliefs, our approach towards things. All of those things differ, and we have to learn how to respect one another, despite the fact that our approach, that our understanding, our perspectives are different. That's maturity. That's maturity. Thoughts on chaos and terror in Turkey? I'm never the one to speak right after the aftermath of something. That I'm not that person. I always give it some time. I always give it some time, as we talked about that before, about about the position of the Muslim during times of fitna, and one of those things is not being so quick to open your mouth. Not being so quick to open your mouth. So for me, when things like that happen, I just sit back and I just wait for the information to kind of trickle in little by little. And as the information trickles in, you are just kind of collecting the information. You're making mental notes of things until you have a clear picture. All right. To speak about something immediately after it happens, to me, is a sign of a lack of wisdom. It's a lack of wisdom. Wisdom is sitting back, watching things unfold, holding your tongue, being patient until you have collected enough information in order to, in order to make a judgment, in order to make, I seen a question where someone said, what can a woman who is on her menses do Laylatul Qadr night in terms of worship? I wrote an article. I can share that article on Facebook or Twitter, and that a couple of years ago, about what women can do in Ramadan when they're on their menses. If a woman can't fast, if a woman can't engage in worship because of her menses or postpartum bleeding or whatever, what else is it that she can do? She can make dua. You can make dua when you're on your menses. You can read the English translation of the Quran while you're on your menses. You can give sadaqah while you're on your menses. You can, give charity while you're on your menses. You can go to the masjid and you can, help cook and help assist and feed and serve the believers. You can do all of those things. Like, there's so many hasanat that you can get. So many hasanat that you can get, even while you are experiencing that time of the month. So don't allow that to stop you from engaging in worship. You can still engage in worship despite the fact that you are experiencing that time of the month. How long have I been Muslim? Almost 20 years. I don't know what you mean. What teachings do y'all take from? I don't know what that means. What do you mean, is it good to be a Muslim? Your questions are very vague. You have to be more specific with your questions. If you are a resident in a country for a temporary time, do you have permission not to fast? Islamically, if you are traveling, all right, if you are traveling and you don't know how long you're going to be at your destination, then yes, it is allowed for you to break your fast. It's allowed for you to not fast, but you have to make those days up from another month after Ramadan is over with. I don't classify myself amongst any sect. That is the problem with the Muslim Ummah today. That is the problem with the Muslim Ummah today, is that we classify or allow people to classify us into different sects, and we accept those titles, we accept those differences, and it further fragments our community. We're Muslim. Muslims have different perspectives, different approaches. Muslims have different approaches to Islam. Muslims have different understandings of Islam. Those things exist. But we're all Muslim. We're all Muslim under the banner of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. So we need to get out of, don't let anybody put you in a box. Don't let anybody tell you, are you Sunni? And then you feed right into that. Yeah, I'm a Sunni. Yeah, I'm Salafi. Yeah, I'm this. Right then and there, you put yourself in a box and you've isolated yourself from the title that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us, which is Muslim. I'm just Muslim. When you ask me about my approach to Islam, if you ask me about my understanding of Islam, that's something different. Even if that temporary time is 4 or 5 or 6 years, no, that time cannot be 4 or 5 or 6 years. That's excessive. In that case, you are a resident. You're not a traveler. You're a resident. In that case, you are a resident. You're not a traveler. So you should do exactly what the people in your locality is doing. So if they're fasting, then you fast with the Jama'ah. And you pray with the Jama'ah. I haven't been praying for a while. Well, every day is a new day. Every day is a new chapter in your life. Every day is a new chapter. Start a new chapter today and pray. And if you're too weak to pray, I'll pray for you. I don't know how that's going to work out for you, but, I'll pray for you. What about the ones that you've missed? Don't worry about the ones you missed. Start right now. God will meet you wherever you are, whenever you decide to, start your journey. That's the beauty in Islam about our relationship with God. God will meet you wherever you are. Whenever you are ready to start your journey, you will find God right there with you. That's the beauty of our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whenever you are ready to start your journey, God is right there with you, waiting for you. Allah is as-sabur. Allah is patient with his servants. Allah is patient. God is patient with his creation. And whenever you are ready to start your journey towards him, he's right there with you. He told Musa and Harun, told Moses and Aaron, go to Pharaoh. He has transgressed all boundaries. Inni ma'akuma asma' wa ara. I'm with you on your journey. I hear you and I see you. I hear you and I see you. Allah has always been there. Allah has always been there. It is just we came into the understanding that he's there, but he's always been there. Always. And will always be. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is huwa al-awwal wal-akhiru wal-zahiru wal-batin. He is the first. There's nothing before him. He is the last. There's nothing after him. He is al-zahiru wal-batin. He is hidden. He is apparent. And he is hidden. You're supposed to feel incomplete. That's part of being a human being. All of those emotions and those feelings that you are going to experience, that you have yet to experience, that you are going to experience, all of that is part of your normal human experience. You are going to feel incomplete. That's natural to feel incomplete. Even for those of us who have been practicing Muslims. Even of those of us who are practicing Muslims, at times we feel incomplete. Those of us who are practicing Muslims, who never left off a prayer, even we feel incomplete. We feel incomplete at times. That's natural. That's a natural human emotion. There's nothing wrong with that. What could I do for a non-believer to help them? Don't call them non-believers. Some of them, they believe in God. They believe in God. You can just say someone who is not a Muslim. All right, someone who is not a Muslim. What could you do them to make them feel more comfortable with being, more comfortable with Muslims? Just show them the beauty of Islam through your character. Show them the beauty of the religion. Don't refer to someone who is not a Muslim as a non-believer. That's very dismissive and it's disrespectful. Because I used to be the same person you're talking about. I used to be a non-believer. And if you would have called me a non-believer, I would have been highly offended. Because I believed in God. If I didn't believe in anything, I believed in God. It wasn't much I actually believed in that state of being that I was in. But the one thing that I did hold on to was my belief in God. And I wasn't going to let anybody take that away from me, man. Don't take that away from anybody. Don't refer to anybody as a non-believer. Refer to them as, people who are not Muslim, non-Muslims, people who, they're still disbelievers in Islam. Okay, I'm not going to argue that. I'm just saying that the term is disrespectful. The term is dismissive of their whatever little bit of faith in God they have. We dismiss that, to say that a person is a non-believer, whether they disbelieve in Islam or not. I'm not even going to entertain that. But just, show them the beauty of Islam through practicing the religion. I mean, it's not that, no, it was just a teaching lesson. I wasn't blaming you for that. We kind of just spit the jargon. We pass the jargon on from one generation to the next, And, sometimes it takes someone to come in and say, hey, wait a minute, why are we even using this term like this? It's not I'm not blaming anybody, but just trying to change the narrative a little bit. We change the language, we change the culture. Language and culture go hand in hand. And when you change the language, you change the culture. So when you change the language amongst the Muslims and referring to people as non-believers and, when we change that, you change that culture, then you change maybe our approach towards people who don't necessarily believe in Islam. Maybe our approach to them will be a lot different if we change the culture. We change the language, we change the culture. But the only thing that you can do is just to be yourself. Show them the beauty of Islam through your behavior, through your actions, how you interact with them. My job is not to make a person who is not Muslim feel comfortable with me as a Muslim. That's not my job. That's not my life's journey, to make my neighbor feel comfortable with me as a non-Muslim. Nah, that's not my job. My job is to just be who I am. You know what I mean? When you are who you are, you don't owe anybody any excuses. Because I'm not trying to be anything other than what I am, If you are uncomfortable with that, then I'm sorry. You know what I mean? I can be as transparent as I possibly can be, but I'm not going to make my life's journey to make you more comfortable with me in a hostile, Islamophobic society. I'm sorry. I'm not here for that. I'm not here to make you comfortable. You know what I'm saying? We are minorities here. We are minorities. The majority in this country are, the dominant culture in this country is Christianity. So if anything, they should be trying to make us more comfortable here. The dominant culture has a responsibility to make minorities feel comfortable, not the minorities in, a predominantly Christian society trying to make Christians more comfortable with Islam. La wallahi, it doesn't work like that. In any society, it doesn't work like that. The dominant culture, the dominant culture works towards making minorities feel comfortable in their country. No, I see your question, but when I'm responding to one question, I'm not going to stop in the middle of responding to one question to respond to another. I'm going to finish my question. If you ask another question at that time, or I remember, then I'll respond. I'll respond. I studied in the Islamic University of Medina. As I said before, I don't classify myself as anything other than a Muslim. If you listen to what comes out of my mouth, everything that I've spoken has been Allah said, His messenger said, the scholars say. All right, there's a certain classification for that. And whatever term you want to use for that, you can. As far as myself is concerned, I'm just a Muslim. But if you want to know what type of classification to give a person, obviously he would be from Ahlul Sunnah if what he says is Allah said, His messenger said, the Sahaba said, the Salaf said, then quite naturally that would be someone who they would classify as an Orthodox Sunni Muslim, Ahlul Sunnah, or whatever term you want to use. Do I take from the Nation of Islam? What does that mean? I don't understand. What does that mean? Do I take from the Nation of Islam? What does that mean? Please explain. Do I take from the Nation of Islam? So you follow the Salaf and the Prophet's Sunnah. I follow what is truth. I follow truth. Wherever it is, I follow truth. Whatever is consistent with the Quran and consistent with the traditions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that is what I follow. Do I follow what the Nation of Islam teaches? Do I even have to answer that question? I have to answer that question. I'm not going to dignify that with a response. Do people who follow the Nation of Islam look like me? Do they talk like me? Do they quote the Quran? Do they recite the Quran? Do they quote the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Come on, man, use your intellect. You asking me questions, man, that are irrelevant. Ask me some questions that are relevant. Nah, it's not just a question. It's a loaded question. Why would you even ask me something like that? Do you see me with a bow tie and, glasses on and bean pie? Like, come on, man. Come on. Use your intellect. You smarter than that, man. You smarter than that. I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt, but you about to remove that. Yeah, that's why I end up turning the chat off anyway. If you want to accept Islam, what should I do? Do you want to accept Islam right now? Is that what you want to do? You too, brother. Have a good day. Do you want to accept Islam right now? If so, where are you located? Maybe somebody on the Periscope is from your area that you can link up with who can give you your shahada. Inshallah. Okay, we'll stop here. وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.